When I look around at all the entrepreneurs who are grinding it out, spending 70 to 80 hours per week growing their business, you have to ask yourself the question, at what cost? Hi, my name's Tim Uchuk, and in this podcast, we're going to be exploring the tools, tactics, and strategies for crushing it and scaling your business without making the ultimate sacrifice of your time and freedom. Hey, what's up, guys? Tim here, taking a quick brain break and a drive, which I recommend doing, by the way. I've been doing this for a couple of years. Just stepping away from the office after putting in a couple hard hours at work as a reward, creating a bit of a positive feedback loop after accomplishing, I like to prioritize the main thing for the morning, get it done so that everything else is icing. So a bit of a reward, two birds, one stone. I'm out for a couple errands, as well as thought I'd hop on here and record a quick podcast episode, something that's top of mind. We had a discussion this week in our Facebook group around kind of a joking discussion around this notion of a midlife crisis. And I think it's timely, given that it's the start of a new year. And given all of the challenges that have happened in terms of impacting our businesses, depending on your industry, you might be dealing with a lot of challenge in the face of this global pandemic that's happening current time. And so this is really a mindset episode. I want to talk about specifically how to engineer hope, fulfillment, and joy into your average day. And I say average day because I'm not talking about, going on vacation, you're sitting on a beach. I'm talking about your typical average day. And what I found, if you look at how you're feeling today, it's often a reflection of the decisions you've made, the actions you've taken over the last rolling, 30 to 90 days. And that's a culmination of how you feel today. You think about the things that you've put off, maybe procrastinated, you feel guilty about, potentially not making hiring decisions, etc. All of those decisions, all those seeds that you've planted in the last 30 to 90 are going to impact how you're feeling today. So I want to talk about how you can, through intentionality, how you can take control of your average day so that you can increase your fulfillment, increase your joy, and increase your sense of hope. And 5 things I want to talk about specifically today, 5 strategies. Strategy number 1, starting with this notion of the closing window or the gap. And it's the best way to describe this is the description of your worst nightmare being meeting the best version of yourself at the end of your life and realizing a massive gap between the person you became and the person who you could have become. So that's this looming gap, and it's a segue to that midlife crisis where we just feel like we have not moved the needle as far as we knew that we had the potential to do in our life, right? And that window's closing, the opportunity's closing. We feel that we're too old to make big moves, which I think is BS, by the way. Just do a Google search for some of the most successful people past the age of 50, and you'll see quite an inspiring list of people. So that is BS, just as a side note. But the closing window, and the best exercise that I think helps with this is you start with kind of a morbid exercise, but one of the greatest motivators I think is fear. So visualizing your obituary and what people are saying about you at the end of your life in terms of all the people that are in your or were in your orbit, right? So think your friends, your family, even your clients, your colleagues. What are the types of things that they're saying about you at the end of your life? And if you understand, oftentimes this comes back to our legacy, our impact, our contributions, how we treated people, where we spent our time, our consistency, and the people that perhaps looked up to us. So visualizing this, putting a little bit of fear into you, and then that's going to help you to really, you take matters into your own hands. And the best way to create your future, or the best way to predict your future, is to create it. So that's why I like to work in seasons, get really clear on what's important by going through this fear exercise and reverse engineer it into the next 90 days in terms of what are the things that you can implement into your days over the next 90, the habits that you need to put in place in order to move in that direction where people are saying, positive things around your legacy at the end of your days. So that's number one, is the closing window, being very clear on what you want your impact. Think of that ripple when you throw a stone in the water. That's your impact, right? All those little rings that space out is your impact. And so this feeling of not fulfilling our potential through our God-given gifts, it creates a lot of guilt and anxiety. That's where we have the sleepless nights and the existential crisis, right? So that's that notion of the gap. So number two I want to talk about is value alignment, and slightly related, but again, your average day, you could be crushing it on the business side. You could have a lot of money in the bank account, but still feel empty and unfulfilled. And this comes from your alignment with your values. And think in terms of your health, think in terms of your relationships with your family. If you value your family, for example, are you spending time with them? Are you paying attention to your kids, to your spouse, right? Are you investing your energy by, this is why I like to go for walks with my kids every day. This is why we set up a ritual for going to Hawaii every January, so that I intentionally invest the energy in those things that I value. And so, to the extent that you're within or outside of alignment with your values on your average day, is going to contribute to your sense of fulfillment and joy on your average day. So, that's value alignment. Number three stems from guilt, guilt around things we've been procrastinating on. Think in terms of, you've been putting off, potentially, taxes, key hire, letting somebody go that is not a right fit team member. All the things that you've been putting off, they just sit in the back of your brain, and they contribute to you feeling guilty because you think about them and you feel guilty about them late at night. So what I recommend doing is, number one, do a brain dump of all the things that you feel guilty about and around. Do a big brain dump. And next to all of them, circle the three that are the things you've been procrastinating on the most. And these are very likely the things they're probably big elephants, and they're probably things you really don't enjoy doing. That's why you're procrastinating. So circle the three biggest ones you've been procrastinating on the longest, and put a star next to those. And to the right of each one of them, write down the smallest step that you can take to advance them, the smallest action that you can take to advance these things you've been procrastinating on. And this will immediately alleviate the guilt that you've been experiencing in putting these things off. Is just find the three worst items, star them, and right next to them the smallest action you can take to advance them, and lock it into your calendar. Lock it in, get it done, and keep moving forward. So that's around dealing with the guilt of procrastination. That's number three. Number four, which is, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you are likely a perfectionist. And if we're perfectionists, we see a lot of things in our world as being broken. That's why entrepreneurs are the world's innovators, the value creators. So when you see everything as broken, it's hard to be grateful, because all we're seeing are problems all day long, and it starts to eat at us a little bit. And we start to lose sight of all the things that are going right. This is where that gratitude muscle is so, so important. And the countermeasure for this sense of not appreciating things, feeling like just everything's broken around you at the end of a day, is to start your day and end your day. So a bookend, start your day and end your day by writing down three things that you are grateful for. Over time, you're going to run out of the obvious things, and you're going to have to get smaller and smaller and smaller. You're going to be listing things like, I'm grateful for my lungs and the fact that I have the ability to breathe. It's like John Kabat-Zinn says, if you're just breathing, there's far more right with you than there is wrong with you. So gratitude is the countermeasure to what's inherent in us entrepreneurs, which is seeing things as being broken and wanting to fix them. We see a lot of problems out there. So you got to recalibrate your brain and your mindset a little bit to have gratitude and recognize that there's far more right than wrong. And you really have everything. If you're breathing, you have everything that you need right now. And the growth challenge is how can we incrementally improve, make our tomorrows better than our todays through value creation, but still have that ability to be content with what you have. Because if you can't do that, you're going to go away on vacations, or you're going to be spending time with your family, and you're going to be a little bit dissatisfied all the time. So practice that ability to express gratitude and appreciation. And also, by the way, when you start to hit your goals and unlock milestones, your reaction and response is going to be so what? You'll perpetually be dissatisfied. That's why you hear the rumors of the miserable billionaires who are just, they're never content. So gratitude is a very, very important piece. And that is number 4. Last thing I want to talk about, which can help you to engineer fulfillment, joy, and hope into your average day, is really, it's related to, if you've ever read that book, big fan of it, highly recommend it. It's Man's Search for Meaning, which is the autobiography of a Holocaust survivor who was in a concentration camp, and he had literally everything taken away from him. But what he kept with him was his will and his mind and his ability to hold on to hope. His ability to hold on to hope. And he did that through giving himself on purpose something to look forward to. And he used for his focus for his meditation, he used a tree that he could see outside of his cell window. And he would look at this tree through the changing of the seasons, and he would appreciate the changing of the leaves, the blossoming of the flowers, and it gave him something to look forward to. It gave him a sense of hope through what was, you can imagine, the most painful scenario situation, what he must have witnessed and gone through. So this is the notion of something to look forward to, and what I recommend you do as an actionable game plan is to think of a small, medium, and long term set of things that you can set up in your life to look forward to. So I already mentioned a couple of them in terms of short term. Each day, for example, I've got my brain break, which I'm taking right now. I've got my in the morning after I stretch and exercise, I reward myself with a steam or a hot tub. I've got a hot tub right outside my office, and that's my little reward, and it gives me something to look forward to. Again, after I put in a good hour worth of work, I will make myself my favorite coffee. Gives me something to look forward to. Midday break, something to look forward to. End of day, walk with family. And at the end of the week, we have a ritual of Pizza Friday with my family. And during the hard weeks, I have something to look forward to. In terms of goals with my work, with my business, I give myself something to look forward to through rewards of big purchases. So I will buy a expensive bottle of wine, or I'll have a picture in front of me that I have to look at each day of an expensive item that I really want, but I can't buy it, or I can't open that bottle of wine until I've hit that milestone for myself. So I have stared at a great bottle of wine every single day for 5-6 months, because I've said to myself, until I unlock this milestone, this thing is gonna taunt me on a daily. So again, it gives you something to look forward to. You're engineering a positive feedback loop in this way. Medium term things to look forward to. Think of like a long weekend vacation. It's hard to do during the pandemic, but what we used to do was once a quarter get something in the books, something in the calendar planned, so that you can anticipate it and you're working towards it. And so your days and weeks, they don't feel empty. You always have something to look forward to. Date night with your spouse, date nights with your kids, get them locked into the calendar and you have things to plan and look forward to. Long term, if you haven't done this, this is one of the greatest decisions we've ever made. We have one big trip that we take every year. It's a ritual. And at the end of every time we finish every year, we plan it and we schedule it for the next year so we can look forward to it as a family. So our ritual is every January, we go to Hawaii, and we're going for 3 weeks to a month. We haven't decided. We're thinking of tacking on an extra week next January, but we got it scheduled. We got it in the books. It's a year away, and our kids, my wife and I, we've got the countdown clock. We're talking about it, and part of that sense of anticipation, in many ways, is just as great as the actual experience of going on vacation. Plus, it forces you, if you run a business, to get your ducks in a row so that you can actually take off that time, and you're engineering a reward for yourself, a reward for your family. And one of the best gifts that we can give ourselves and our family is the gift of experiences. So short, medium, long term things to look forward to. Get them set up, get them into your calendar. Actionable items on that one is to jot down ideas for the short term, medium term, long term things to look forward to. So during your days, for example, I have, after dinner, I've got like my little stash of my favorite chocolates. I have one little chocolate, something to look forward to. I mean, they're ridiculously small. The other way I look at them, I reference or call them, mini vacations. So I've got a fridge downstairs with my favorite drinks, and I will reward myself between, periods of hard work with these little mini vacations. So it is silly. I admit it, it's silly. It's a small thing, but these small things are the important things that, again, give us a sense of hope. We get a sense of hope by giving ourselves things to look forward to, setting up these rituals, which, again, in the face of instability, if you're in a rapidly changing business, it's going to feel like things are very, very unstable. So this is where we need to cling even more to ritual on a daily basis, so we have that sense of stability. We need that stuff even more. Talking about gratitude in the face of challenges, uh, anytime that I'm struggling, if I'm going through something, big problems in one of my businesses, I focus even harder on the things that I shared today. I will be even more diligent when it comes to the gratitude piece, when it comes to my diet, my exercise, my value alignment. I really, really focus hard on those things, because that is your fuel in the fuel tank that's going to help you endure these challenges, help you push through them, right? Because nobody else is going to do that for you. So I hope that's helpful. We talked about 5 ways that you can engineer hope and fulfillment and joy into your average day. We talked about that gap, the cause of the midlife crisis, the gap between this notion of your worst nightmare arriving at the end of your life, realizing an enormous gap between the person you could have become, the person you became. We talked about living on average within the alignment of your values. We talked about the guilt that comes from procrastinating on things that you know are important. We talked about the power and importance of expressing and practicing gratitude. And we talked about engineering things to look forward to, aka rituals, into your days, into your weeks, your months, and your years. So I hope that's helpful, guys. I am going to jump into the grocery store here, and otherwise, I look forward to catching up with you all soon. Hey, Tim Uchuk here, and real quick, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, if you could take a couple quick seconds to give it a rating, it would be very much appreciated. And secondly, if you're looking for more tools and strategies on how you can crush it in life and business, just head on over to bookwithtim.com, where I've put together a free case study which shows you how to unlock unprecedented freedom today by using the 2 power levers. Just head on over to bookwithtim.com. Until next time, wishing you success and freedom in your business. Cheers.